Hello and welcome to The Wilderness of Creativity, a platform for creatives and aspiring entrepreneurs to share their stories of survival. I'm your host, Lucy, and I'm so excited to share this creative journey with you. Working full-time and raising a small human has caused me to lose track and wander off-piste on several occasions, but I followed the signs and here we are, surviving the wild and feeling more connected and inspired than ever before. Whether you're a seasoned adventurer or just starting out, I'm here to cheer you on as you navigate this journey. Together, we will uncover practical tips and strategies for cultivating creativity, explore different ways of prioritising our creative energy when there are people to please and deadlines to meet. And we'll also discuss how we can foster a mindset that inspires connection, innovation and play in our daily lives. Tune in every month to hear how my guests find focus in a world that never stops buzzing and discover what it really means to take the road less travelled. Subscribe now to listen to the Wilderness of Creativity and remember to like, share and leave a review to show your support. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, so come and join in with our conversations. And that's it. Welcome to your next adventure. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of The Wilderness of Creativity, celebrating International Podcasting Day. Earlier this month, I had the absolute pleasure of talking to Jennifer Hensel, podcaster, author, and the founder of the Women in Podcasting Network. Jennifer's mission is to amplify women's voices and stories worldwide. In this exclusive interview, Jennifer shares a deeply personal chapter of her life following her husband's near-fatal accident, and reflects on the vital role that creativity played in their journey back to health, community and happiness. She also discusses her passion and commitment to building supportive communities and empowering women in podcasting. Known for her expertise in creating thriving, collaborative environments, Jennifer equips her members with her Rise, Reach, Results roadmap, offering essential tools for impactful messaging and monetization. Jennifer was recently celebrated as Innovator of the Year at the World Podcast Awards, underscoring her significant contribution to the podcasting landscape. Join me as we explore Jennifer's inspiring story, her insights on community building, and her dedication to uplifting women's voices in this empowering episode. Explain a little bit about who you are, first of all.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having this conversation, because creativity is so important. It really has played a huge role in my life and everything I do. And so I'm excited to chat with you about that. You know, for me, when I was a part-time entrepreneur for many years. I worked full-time and had my business on the side. And, you know, it always seemed like success was right around the corner. And I was never able to reach it, where I always just wanted to have my business full time. And one of the components that was missing was really creativity, because, you know, what I found was that I was just stuck. I was stuck and I wasn't living my passion, what was really within me and what I wanted to do. And I was at my job one day and I got the worst phone call anybody wants to receive. It was my husband's boss. And he said, "You need to come to the hospital right away because your husband's been in a terrible accident." And I went to the hospital. All the way to the hospital, I just thought to myself, I'm not going to lose my best friend today. And I got there. I didn't recognize him at first. He had been crushed by 12,000 pounds of wood. And he survived, thankfully. But, you know, he was left with a lot of permanent injuries, and it's been a long, long recovery. But one of the things that really happened was it ignited in me a spark. So even though it really blew up our lives and was difficult, it ignited something in me that made me say, I don't want to live in that hard, difficult way anymore. I want to live what really fires me up and fuels me, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And to me, that's the core of creativity, you know. And so one of the things that really impacted me and stood out the most was the communities my husband was involved in before his accident now came around and rallied around him. And so he was, for example, a volunteer football coach in the community. And so football coaches and players would come around and say, "We're here for you, Coach Paul." And that really lifted us up and really, just really helped us through that time. And so what I found out was you need to create a community around what you're doing. So one of the things I was missing was that kind of camaraderie and community in the business world.
I find it fascinating that when we are at the lowest point in our life, we have to dig deep, like you say, and we imagine a new life. For me, on a personal level, the podcast was launched a week after I miscarried our baby. So this podcast is actually the thing that I'm nurturing.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because, stories connect us. And so it's beautiful when you hear someone else's story, because we can connect in a deeper way that, you can't if you're getting stuck and isolated. You need to open yourself up to those opportunities, and opportunities will flow to you. And, stories will happen, and stories create opportunities, and opportunities create more stories. And so, for me, I just put a thing out on social media. I said, what other business owners would like to meet me for lunch? And I wasn't very organized with it back then, right? And to my surprise, 50 business owners showed up.
No, really?
For lunch.
Wow.
So I thought I'd have
Where did you go?
I thought I'd have a table of 8 people or something, right? But 50 business owners showed up. And so that showed me I wasn't the only one, and there's a lot of people who were in need of that. That was in 2012. And so that one meeting turned into a group, and the group turned into a full network. I ended up owning a giant business network with multiple chapters throughout, in different cities throughout my region. And I planned and promoted over 600 events during that time. And I was even able to use my platform to help my husband go from an injured mill worker to an international speaker. And he wrote a book about our story called Crushed Alive, a story from tragedy to triumph. And he even did a TED Talk called Silencing Stigma Through Storytelling. And so we really learned about storytelling, and that was a big part of his recovery, telling his story. And so we found that when we told our story, other people wanted to tell their story. And that's how we connect, and we connect through stories. So taking that time to be creative about your story it's not just about you, announcing your story. It's a connection process. It's a back and forth. It's a dialogue. It's a discussion and a conversation with your other human people around you. So it's just really an amazing experience that will connect us.
And the thing is as well about that I'm learning about podcasting itself is that it is such an intimate space. And that's something that I really love. So I work full time. I'm a dance and drama teacher. So I'm in front of children all the time. And we're storytelling all the time. But there is something that I'm absolutely falling in love with when it comes to podcasting, because it is just me and the guest. Obviously, that's the way that I've set it up. But, there is that intimacy there. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sort of talking about your experience as well as a podcaster and what you absolutely love about that whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, podcasts played a big part in our lives as listeners because it helped us through our situation with learning. We learned a lot of things, just connection as well, getting tapped into other communities. Community is a big part of it for us. We learned a lot of modalities and different things through podcasting. And so my first podcast was with my husband, and it was based on his near-death experience, right? And so you can't really grow a community until you have a community mindset, until you understand what it can mean, until you put yourself in a place to actually experience that yourself, to experience the give and take and the, showing up to help others and things like that. And for anything to work, you really need to be part of a community. And we need to build our circle of support around us. It's not going to build itself. And for me, podcasting is a huge part of that. So I actually studied podcasting for over 10 years before I started that first podcast with my husband. And then after that, I started the Women in Podcasting podcast. And, people will help you if you show up to be helped. And that's huge in the podcasting world. The podcasting community is the most beautiful community I've ever been involved in. I just cannot even believe I'm overwhelmed every day by the beauty I'm seeing in other women, the brave ways that they're lifting their voice and telling their stories. It just is so amazing to me. I'm just blown away every day by the things people are doing. And so for me, podcasting is beyond just, one medium in my business. Really everything revolves around it. My communities revolve around my podcasting, and in every community I would have a podcast. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think more and more podcasting is just going to continue to grow, and most communities will have a podcast, I think.
And the possibilities within podcasting, I think, super exciting. And you mentioned there as well about uplifting women's voices. You're the founder of the Women in Podcasting Awards. What is it that you wanted to put out there and help us do and achieve?
Yeah, so a couple things. Men definitely dominate the podcasting industry, and so I wanted to elevate women's voices in the podcasting industry as well. I led the Women in Podcasting track at PodFest a couple of years ago, which is one of the largest podcasting conferences. It was the most amazing experience. Our room was overflowing. I managed 5 sessions, and by the end of the 5th session, we had guys in the room. We had people from our place was filled because the women were supporting each other. We were hugging, we were, hooting and hollering and just supporting each other and clapping for each other. And it attracted everybody else in the place into our track, right? And that's how it's like, though, even in just the podcasting industry amongst women podcasters, is just so amazing. And so I love that, and I want more of that. And so I want to facilitate others to experience that. And so in the Women in Podcasting Network, I've created a lot of tools and templates to make it easier for people, so people can spend more time on their message and what they're really passionate about, what they want to be creative about, instead of spending time recreating the wheel. And so anything that works for me, I give it to my members in my membership. My background is in curriculum development, and as I have a credential in adult teaching, instructing adults. It's called the Provincial Instructor's Diploma in my region. But so I have the skills to create a lot of courses, and I have high ticket programs and things where I offer my tools and things like that. But for women in podcasting, I offer it at the lowest price possible so that they can have access to the tools they need without financial barriers being in the way for them to get those tools.
And for those people who are listening, who are maybe considering starting a podcast, or, would like to find out a little bit more about the process of recording a podcast, editing a podcast, what sort of tips and tricks could you give those listeners? Because honestly, when I met my mentor in January, I had no idea that I wanted to do a podcast. It wasn't even on my radar. And just by meeting her and us having a conversation, a little spark, and then a week went by and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go.
We do have a masterclass to help people, a free masterclass that you can go watch that can walk you through every single step. But some of the things are, try not to be too caught up in the equipment and the different things. And I started with a really low cost mic, and then upgraded to some expensive mics. This one's not that expensive. It's a gaming mic, but I like it. Yeah, I like it even better. It's less than $150, whereas some of the mics I had were $500-$600, right? But I like this one the best. So you don't have to go expensive to get things to work. You can just use your phone these days, honestly. And just the main thing is to start, because your first episode is never going to be as good as your 10th episode. Podcasting is a thing you need to learn as you do it. And so you can get lots of advice and things like that. But the best thing is just to start, and you can improve things. If you heard my sound in the beginning, it was not that great. And so you're going to learn and learn and learn as you go. I specialize in monetizing your podcast using methods other than sponsorship.
When it comes to creativity, is it possible just to keep something like this a hobby, do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, any content today can be monetized. And so even people who tell me they're doing it for to raise awareness or for nonprofit and things like that, you can use it to raise money. Even if you're not wanting the money yourself, you can donate it then, say join our. And so what I love is what I call mini memberships. And so you can test your market and test your audience and see if they'll respond to a mini membership. So for the Women in Podcasting, for example, I started my Women in Podcasting group on Facebook just because I wanted to connect personally with other women podcasters. It exploded and went really, really well. And after a few months, I could see people needed help with monetizing. And so I started the Women in Podcasting membership, which was only at that time $7 a month. It's only $5 a month now, but $7 a month. And I had 100 members within 10 days. And so anybody could do that. Now, think about that. Some of you might think, oh, well, that's only $700. That's no big deal. But that could cover your podcasting costs quite nicely. That would at least cover your podcasting costs, right? So I really love memberships. And then I have mid-range memberships and I have high-ticket services. But anybody in the Women in Podcasting know me for that affordable, low-cost mini membership where I provide tools and things like that inside the membership. So what I recommend is to at least start with a mini membership with a low-cost offer that people can join and focus on community in that low cost, right? At that level of your funnel, it's sort of an entry-level product. You're going to focus on community. You're going to, I provide some tools, but the main thing is the connections and the collaborations that I generate for people and, introduce them. I'm constantly in conversation, introducing people and, providing them opportunities and collaborations and things like that.
Do you have any podcasts that you enjoy listening to yourself? Can you recommend any podcasts?
I'm constantly listening to podcasts from the group, from Women in Podcasting.
I bet you're very busy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love celebrity type podcasts too. When I started listening to podcasts, what got me into listening to podcasts was Mark Maron way back in 2008, 2009, something like that.
Yeah.
I like listening to Smartless. That's a celebrity type podcast. Yeah. There's a lot of women celebrity podcasts that I really enjoy, but also self-help and self-development type podcasts. So when the situation happened with my husband, we did a lot of learning through podcasts.
You strike me as the sort of person that is absolutely committed to learning and growing. And where are you going next? Like, what's inspiring you to move on to the next part of this journey that you're on at the moment?
I'm finding it so fulfilling connecting with other women podcasters. I'm just going to keep expanding that area. So the awards are brand new this year. I don't know if you know that this is the first year for the Women in Podcasting Awards.
I didn't know that.
I didn't even know if I was going to get 8 people or 20 people. I was like, well, if I get 20 people, I guess I could run an awards. Why not? That's good for a first year.
Where did that idea come from? Where were you when that idea came?
I was on a plane. I had to turn my phone off, and be quiet for a while. So I sat there. I'm like, oh, I can't be on my phone. I can't do this. I sat there and I was just meditating, and it was like a download. It was like within 15 minutes, I had the entire plan from beginning to end. It was like it was downloaded into my brain.
Wow.
So when I started it, when I launched it, I was shocked that I had 400 nominees in our first year. 400. Like that's blows my mind,
Yeah.
So,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it worked out really well. So we're going to we're going to keep having that one. So,
the quieter that you get, the louder those little sparks, those little whispers of creativity come. And I think the older I get, the more in tune I am to listening to those sparks. And I think it's really important as an educator, think about giving the children I'm teaching the space to listen to those sparks as well. Did you teach then before you went into business?
I've pretty much always been an instructor of one kind or another. So my initial way back, I taught import-export. So I had a diploma in international trade, and I would teach about import-export. That was my first area of expertise. And then I got into social media when it came out, and I taught social media for a number of years. I would run the same workshop every week, when a lot of business owners were wondering, what is this social media thing?
Yeah,
so I taught that for a few years because
what is this social media thing? Because I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, and then, that morphed into the podcasting and all those different kind of networking and business.
How are the awards going to run? How is it going to look in terms of an event?
So we're going to have a ceremony with the winners and the sponsors and myself will award the people, not in a tangible way, but with the recognition of the award. And then And then they will have a graphic that they can put on their website saying they were a winner.
I have a little thing that I do with my guests, and I was wondering whether you'd be up for it. I've got the little "You Got This" cards. So these are like oracle cards, I guess. These were given to me by a group of students that I was teaching when I was made redundant, and they gave me these cards, and they have got me through the last few years. So I thought, I'm going to do a little bit of this with my guests, a little bit of cheese.
Oh, that's awesome. I love those kind of cards. See this stack right here? That's all those kind of cards.
I've seen them in the
love
back.
those. I love them.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shuffle the cards. And then whenever you're ready, you can tell me to stop. I'm literally just going to take the top card. And then I thought we could have a little conversation about what card came up for you, if that's all right.
Oh, I love it.
Do you?
I love it. I'm into it.
Excellent.
Should I say stop?
You can say stop whenever you like, my lovely.
Stop now.
Okay. Oh. So the card that's come up for you, can you see that?
Ah.
Everyone needs help sometimes. Everyone needs help sometimes. That is so true.
So true. Yes, that's totally my vibe. People know me as an encourager. Some people have called me the queen of encouragement. I love encouraging people. I love helping people. And yeah, that's totally my vibe. I love that card. That's a great, perfect card for me. I love it. One of the things I've really been loving that's helped me, it's like a meditation. It's called neurographics. It's a type of drawing. And when I try to do one in one sitting. So some people have notebooks, but I like to take, I take cardstock and I cut it into 4. So it's a little like 4x6 size card or so. And I do if you look up neurographics on TikTok or anything, there's tons of it. This is nothing I'm trying to sell or anything like that. This is a new technique that I've been using for the last 6 months. And I'll sit and do this little neurographic thing. And it's like it clears out my brain. And it's helped me to be more productive, more efficient, have more clarity, be more focused. It is incredible what it's doing for my brain. So if you're looking for a new creativity hack, this is amazing.
I'm going to look at that.
It's a type of line drawing that you do.
Line drawing.
And it does something with your brain, and it just makes that connection that I guess maybe we've been missing it because we're so digital the last few years, but I am just finding it amazing for my brain.
It's trying to find that time to fit everything in.
Totally. I used to love doing art when I was younger, and I would always be telling myself, I don't have time. Well, now I don't have, I have to do this neurographic drawing. You know what I mean? It gives me more time in the end.
Hello, Lucy here. Have you heard? The Wilderness of Creativity podcast has been nominated in the Women in Podcasting Awards 2024. Your vote not only supports the podcast, but it also amplifies women's voices in podcasting and champions creativity far and wide. Just head over to Instagram or Facebook and cast your vote. Thanks for listening. Stay wild. I think the voting ends, my friends were asking me, I think it's the 1st of October, isn't it?
Yes, because September 30th is International Podcasting Day.
Yeah, I'm excited about celebrating International Podcasting Day. It's brilliant. Are you going to be doing anything?
Well, there's this other awards called Podcasting Awards. You might want to check it out. So I'm in that this year, and they always have their ceremony on September 30th, which is International Podcasting Day. So this year, even though I was busy with my own awards, so it's the same kind of thing. The reason I did People's Choice Awards is because it enables people to be more collaborative and rally their audience and connect with their audience. There's a place for judging awards, but I liked the People's Choice for the collaborative opportunities, which has been amazing for lots of women. But so this other podcasting awards, though, I've been shortlisted this year, even though I didn't promote it a lot. And so they have, we've had just over 14,000 votes so far, but they get millions. Okay, so they're huge. They're massive. They're the biggest podcasting awards. And so this year, out of, maybe 100, I'm down in the top 10. And so
that's amazing.
So I want to watch the awards this year, right? Because
we all need to watch it.
Right.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
So I don't know if the Women in Podcasting Awards will win or not. So I'm going to watch it.